In lecture 7, we created this dashboard using Tableau. So there's a lot to cover, and I didn't have time to go over every single step. This video will help you go step by step and follow along at your own pace. The final product looks like this. It has a column chart, a bullet chart, a tree map that's segmented by the race, and then a line chart change over time. The filters right now looks like this. You can filter by year. You can also highlight. If you click on these, you'll see it's highlighting. And additionally, there's some other functionality. If you go to the dashboard that has actions, you'll see that if you mouse over, let's say this area, you'll see the data table dynamically. If you click into one of these, you'll highlight the column chart so they're interacting with each other, and we'll learn how to make this interaction possible, this highlight interaction. If you click on one of these, if you not just mouse over, but click into it, you'll see on the left, these two are zooming in or filtering into that race. Okay, so these are all interactions or actions that you can allow the user to take by activating some of these settings in Tableau. There's additional filters here. For example, I can filter for only a specific group of students, and you'll update all 4 charts dynamically. And that's another skill to have, to be able to control everything in the dashboard with one single click. And finally, there's the data table. Data table is just a straightforward data table. Okay, so that's the third dashboard. So we have dashboard, a dashboard with actions, and the data table. And then they have a navigation system. So how do we build a navigation system in a Tableau dashboard that has multiple dashboards within it? We'll start from the very beginning. This is the data that was given in assignment 2, I believe. And there's a few things I need to clean in the data. I don't think I'll use any of the percentages, so I should delete all the percentages, these percentage columns, because Tableau will calculate the percentages. And I don't need any of the total rows. Do you see where it says in US total, all these rows that has US total? I don't need it, because if I include it, you'll actually double count. You'll sum up all these and you'll sum up the total. So I need to delete the US totals. And also the top line, I need to delete this. This is not part of the data table. This is just a heading. So if we were to just go like this, delete row and delete column and delete this row, the clean data set looks like this. It has no extra row on the top. I deleted all the totals. And I could delete these columns here. I could also delete these columns in Tableau. But for simplicity's sake, just delete these columns here, so that the percentages are not part of this data table I'm importing into Tableau. And the total I don't need as well, so I'm going to delete that one. Okay, let's delete this one too. So I have 4 different degree programs, and that should match, I hope, the different degree programs. Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. This is a clean data table. Let's go to save this, go to File, and download this into the CSV file on your computer. The other data table I need to use is the US Census data. So I'm gonna scroll to the right. In the bottom list of tabs, select US Census Race. And all I need to do is also just download it. There's not much to clean on this table. download CSV. All right. So in my download folder, there are these two files, and I'm ready to switch over to Tableau to import those files into Tableau. So going to a new, entire new file in Tableau, I need to connect to the data. I'll need to connect twice because there's two data tables. I need to connect to the text file in downloads, the diversity clean data. Okay. And that's already here. So this is all listed here. The other file I need to connect to is the US Census. So this is a little tricky. You have to imagine this, not just one data table, but two data tables here. And as it says, you have to relate these tables and connect them together. So to get to the second, to get import or to acquire the second data table, which is the US Census data table, you go to Add, Text File, click on the US Census data, and now you have two here, 1 and 2. But that's not enough. You have to go down to the Files section, find 2018 US Census race, which I believe is this one, and you drag this next to it, to the right of it. After you drag to it, it's confused as to how do you link these two? What is the column or what is the variable that's connecting these two tables? So you have to select race on the left side, race and ethnicity in the HKS diversity data table. And on the census data, it's just called race. Now it sees that, oh yeah, these two are linked by the race column. Okay. The next step is to do a pivot of all the degree programs. So if we go back to and click on this diversity data table, we'll see that if you scroll to the right, just like in the Excel file, there's 4 degree programs. Tableau doesn't like these crosstabs, these Y format. Tableau likes the long format. So to kind of pivot, we have to rotate the data so that it's reshaped to this long format. And the way to do that is I highlight the first degree program column, this variable MPP, scroll to the far end, hold down the shift key. So I'm holding down on the keyboard my shift key, click on the last one. When I see this arrow or this triangle, I click on it, I choose pivot, and that's how I pivot the table. The difference now is that it's repeating all the years, it's repeating all these rows for each of the degree programs as opposed to listing them across in their own column. So it's just repeating them in additional rows. So for each of the 4 columns, it's repeating 4 rows. Now I need to rename it. Always after the end of the pivot, rename the name. And these are called degree programs. Degree program. And this is the number of students. The value is just the number of students. So each degree program, how many students who are in this race and ethnicity in this year. So that's what the long format is showing us, row by row. I think we're ready to go to produce some visualizations. Okay. The first visualization I make is just a repeat of the exact tables in Excel. So just for the simplest table you can make is the US Census has race, and it has the percentage of people in the US population of that race. So I just dragged race here, and the percentage is here. A small formatting thing is that these right now are in decimal points, and I want them to show the actual percentage, maybe to show it as formatted as a percentage. So I right click, go to format. This left area has changed. It's no longer a list of variables, but it's the formatting pane. And this is a little tricky. Our goal is to change the format of these numbers. This is the variable sum percentage, so it's the percentage. So you will have to go into the field, select percentage. That's the first step. And then you go to number and drop down, open that drop down, choose percentage. And that's what you have to do to show these percentages. If you want to control the number of decimal points, you just select how many decimal points you want. I think for our purposes, we'll keep it up 2 decimal points. Okay, in the US population, there's 13.6% Black or African American. Asian American is 6.3%, and so on. Okay, let's now create another data table that reflects the Excel sheet as we have. So that in the Google Sheet, we had, I believe, year on the left. And one thing to always get into the habit of, every time you have day or time or year, change this data type, click on the pound symbol, and tell Tableau that this is a date. It's a date. So that helps us set to a date. Don't worry about the formatting. You can always change how the date is displayed by going to formatting. But for now, let's leave it at year. So we have year in each of the rows. And in the Excel sheet, if we go back, you'll realize that the degree programs are across. So the degree programs should go in the columns. So you have year, degree program. And what's inside here? Inside here is the values, how many students. So number of students goes right in the center here. You can drag it into text. We can drag it here. Let's see what happens. It visualizes it. That's okay. Well, make sure it goes back to the data table. If you go to show me, select the table visualization type, data table. Now we're seeing the table visualization type. Actually, looking back at the at Google Sheet, it's the other way around. The years are in the rows, and the degree program is across in the columns. It's very easy to fix or change these in Tableau, and that's one of the reasons I prefer Tableau to Excel. You can just re-drag this over here and drag year down here. Now we have the years, we have the degree programs. The only thing missing is within each year, we need to show the ethnicity in order to reproduce the exact data table we have in Excel. So then to the right of year, we need to drag the variable degree, race and ethnicity. So race and ethnicity is gonna have to go to the right of year. Take race and ethnicity, drag it to the right and drop it in here. It's not, doesn't look exactly like the Excel table, the table in the spreadsheet. But if we were to go back quickly into the Google Sheet, if I screen share that sheet, it's pretty much the same. So let's go to the clean table. We have year, race and ethnicity, degree programs, the values here. And if we go to the Tableau, we will see that we have year, race and ethnicity, degree programs down here. We have reproduced the whole table. And it looks like we imported everything correctly. And the good news is that we have these two tables linked together, so you could actually show the percentages of each of the race if you wanted to in the same table. So just for hypothetical, just to make sure it does work, I can say there's the race, ethnicity, and how many students in HKS. This is going to aggregate every single year and aggregate every single degree program. I'm not disaggregating or doing a granular view. So this is the total across all those years for all those degree programs. But if I want to see the percentage in the US Census, I can drag this percentage here and drop it on top of this, this data. And what Tableau will do is you'll create a new percentage column. So we have interlinked these two data points. And we have the reason you're seeing zeros is it's not formatted to 2 decimal points. So let's go right click, format, go to field, the sum percentage in numbers, show percentage and 2 decimal points. And that's how we have now just almost like a VLOOKUP in Excel. This is like a VLOOKUP in Excel where you look up the race and ethnicity, first get the data from the HKS diversity table, and VLOOKUP the US Census data table. And that's what we got. And we know there's a missing table because during the assignment, you discovered 2 or more races is not a value that's available in the US Census. So you're doing a VLOOKUP when you link up 2 tables, but it's much more flexible because it can move the variables around as much as you like. Okay, so let's continue on with the exercise. Let's create the next chart type. So let's go to sheet number 4. It's always good to name your sheet. So maybe I should call this table HKS. This is table census. Okay, and this is just test the relationship to make sure that it's working. But we're not going to use this just for our own reality check to see if it works. Test for the sheet 4, we could create the segmented column chart. The column chart is each of the degree programs segmented by race. So as I just said it, the degree programs are across, so they're in columns. It's segmented by race. So race, it could be in rows. You could also go into colors. We'll first put it in rows and we'll then switch it over into the colors. We don't care about the time period, so there's no like dates and years. Let's drag for the values, the number of students here, right? The data table looks good. The only step we need to make is turn it into a column chart. So this is the chart type, the column chart. And so what Tableau did was sometimes it tries to make a best guess as to what you want to do. It's taking race and ethnicity into the columns, and we don't want that. We want degree program in columns, and it's doing the color for the degree programs. So we want the opposite of this. Again, in Tableau, it's just a matter of dragging things around. Drag the race and ethnicity variable into the color, and the degree program should be in the column. Degree program in column. Great. So you could have done this in Flourish if you had done all the work in Excel and did the pivot tables. That works just as well. But this is using Tableau, and you can create as many of these as you like very quickly and very easily. So this is showing the absolute count of how many students. For example, the MPA program has 71 Asians as you know, this part of this program. So that's the column chart. I think we're done with this. Let's go to the next chart type. The next chart type we want to make is just a timeline. So the timeline, let's name this column. And the names, you should really make it much more meaningful. It's going to go in the title, like here. So for the purpose of learning, I'm just calling it column. But when you create a real visualization on the dashboard, you should give it something very meaningful. Sheet 5, so let's continue making the line chart. Line chart time is always in the columns. So you're going to drag year in the columns. If you want the degree program, you should get the degree programs. No, actually, for the line chart, we care about race and ethnicity because the degree program doesn't fluctuate much. We just have the same number of students. But race and ethnicity, we're very curious how it has changed. So race and ethnicity, the values, the data is number of students again. So drag it into the main area. It's guessing that you want this column charts. And one of the reasons is, I believe, the years are perhaps discrete. So we might want to convert this year value to be continuous. It is continuous, so that's good. So sometimes if you don't see line charts connecting, it's because the dates on or the variable is not continuous. But in this case, dates tend to be continuous. Okay, and just select in the show me icon, select that it's a line chart. I think that's it. That's pretty much what you need to do. You can label each of the lines by taking race and ethnicity, dragging it onto label. So we have labels for each of the lines. Sometimes the lines are a little too thick, especially if they intersect. So you could go here and decrease the width, the size of the lines, as you can see, like this. A small thing is sometimes if this label is not appearing and you really need to show it, you can right click on it and say mark label, always show as opposed to automatic. Because if there's some overlap, sometimes it hides it. So overlap. Okay, so now it's forcing it to show always. This is the line chart, done. Next chart type, I believe we had the tree map. So the tree map involves basically the entire data table, just like we produced the whole Excel sheet. So maybe without the year value. So we might not in the tree map show the segments of years, but we'll definitely show the degree program and the race and the number of students. So it doesn't matter where you start, you get the degree program and show the race and ethnicity, put the number of students in the value. You have all the variables in place, you have a data table to convert it, to visualize this. You go to show me, like on the tree map. Tree map, again, just conceptually shows, it's like a pie chart. It's showing like a pie chart, the composition of the part of a whole. So we're gonna show the entire tree map as all the values. So you'll sum up to the total of all these numbers. And you'll show smaller boxes within this big rectangle by either the degree program or the race. It's up to you. So you get to control how they're subdivided into these compartments. So choose tree map. The composition is, there's a hierarchy. This is the first hierarchy, which in our case right now, the first hierarchy is the degree programs, MPP program here, the other programs in each. But zooming in, the second level of hierarchy is the ethnicity within the degree code. So that's what this is showing in the tree map. If you prefer, first let's make sure the colors actually make some sense. Right now, the colors are showing the number of students. The size already shows the number of students, so don't use color for the number of students. Use one of these categorical variables. For example, the degree program should be the color. So I drag the degree program into color. Okay. Right now, this is showing the degree program as shown by color, and then the race and ethnicity as the parts of number of students, the composition of race and ethnicity for any degree program. Same here, same here, same here. If you want to make it easier to make visible the degree program label, you just drag degree program on top of label. So that's the degree program label. Okay, so and if you want the number of students, you drag number of students onto label. And you can format these, labels. If you click into it, it's just like Microsoft Office, Microsoft Word. You can change as much as you like here. And then, you're able to change it and control it. Now, if you want to reconfigure and emphasize the race and ethnicity as the main first level hierarchy, and this inner level is the degree programs, so kind of a different configuration. You actually just need to drag the degree program above race and ethnicity. So the tree map looks like this. Drag the degree program into color. And now we have uh, actually, let me go back one step. I think I did the wrong thing. We already have the GUI program in here. Drag race and ethnicity onto color. See how it rearranges itself. Now it's showing the race white and other races. So if we drag the label race and ethnicity onto the label, you'll see it's this area is the white students, the Asian students, and so on. And of course, you can edit the labels and make the changes to make it look different and more apparent and emphasize the value that's most salient, most useful to know. In this case, because we have the race already, I would say the degree program is the most important thing to know to distinguish. Because otherwise, the race is being repeated here. So we want to see the degree programs. And so that's how you rearrange it. You just drag onto the color the categorical variable you want the first division to be. And then by default, the second categorical variable will be the inner divisions, inner compartments. Okay, let's leave this as tree. Yeah. Okay. And so tree map divided, segmented in the first level by race. If we want a tree map that's segmented in the first level by degree program, right click on it, just duplicate it, duplicate, and change this. We're going to just call it degree program, degree. And we need to move degree program onto the color. Okay, and then change the labels a little bit so that the degree program is labeled. It's labeled, but the emphasis of the label should be the race. So I'm gonna edit this, make this a lot more prominent, and then the number of students could be in the bottom. Okay, so if I place this, the way a person will read it, the audience might see it is, these are the MPP programs. And within the MPP program, there's students of this race, these different races. Okay, so there's two tree maps, that's fine. We can have a choice when we make the dashboard, which one we want to include. Okay, after the tree map, I believe we have the last one, which is probably the most difficult one, the bullet chart. Just to show you where to get it, there's a bullet chart template here, the bullet graphs over here. But first, let's put in the data. And this is where we need both data sets. We need both data tables. Let's make our usual data table with I believe we might not need the degree program. We do need the race and ethnicity. We need the number of students, right? So this is the number of students. And the second table is going to be the second column is the percentage. I'm going to drag it in here. So as we know, we need to format this. We did this before. And we're going to need to go to field, sum of percentage, and percentages. And this is all a kind of advanced Tableau. So it's okay if you feel lost, if you have to practice many, many times to get used to it and to learn it. But there's many ways to practice and to learn. And I'm showing you step by step now, but if you do get confused, you can sometimes Google for help. Google, how do I change the number formats to percentages? And someone somewhere has either written a tutorial or created a YouTube video just on that. So YouTube videos, there's a YouTube video for every single thing you might conceive of in Tableau. Someone has created that. But in this case, our number of students is not in percentages. So we need to do some kind of calculation. My recommendation to do this calculation is, let's go back to the list. Let's go back to this variable, the number of students, which is down here, the number of students. Click down, go to quick table calculation, and do percentage of total. So right now, what it is, you did a calculation of percentage of total for the HKS students, but we have the number of students for HKS students. And we visually, just right now, we could see the differences in the data table. Now we need to visualize it. So let's click on the bullet graph and in the show me area. Click on that, see what it produces. So it has produced this kind of this line is, I believe, the census line, and this solid bar is the HKS data. So that's exactly what we need. Uh, that's that's basically the bullet chart. All the shading, you can remove it. Sometimes I think it clutters and it distracts. So if you want to remove the shading area, I believe you just right click on here. Um, 1 second. This is very tricky. I had to look it up on Google and find the YouTube video and instructions on how to remove this area. Maybe it's here. Okay, you click on the x-axis, all these labels anywhere here. You go down to remove all reference lines. Try one of these. If you get it wrong, you can always go back. Remove reference line 60, 80 of pass. So that removes it. Okay. If you ever make a mistake, you can go back and then you can redo it. So this is pretty clean. You can change the size a little bit if you like. You can make it more the height, give it more horizontal space if you like. These are things you can change. So for now, this is the bullet chart. Let's call it a bullet. Okay, we have all the components. This is a long video. I'm gonna pause here before I go and make a brand new video, a separate video, part 2 video to show you how to build the dashboards. Well, we have, just to summarize, imported the data, set the relationships in the data by linking these two. This is the relationship. And we pivoted the degree programs. So it's been pivoted into the long format. We produce the data tables here. And then we have even did a test relationship. This you could have just produced and created bullet table, bullet graph just from here. So that's good to know. We've made a column chart that's segmented by race, line chart, tree map, different tree map that's by different level of categorizing. And then the bullet chart. So I'm going to stop here because this is a long video, and I'll create a separate dashboard video tutorial. Okay, see you in the next video.